Hi, my name is Emily. I'm 28 years old. And what I'm about to share still makes my chest tighten. But before I dive in, hit that subscribe button because you won't believe how far this story goes. And trust me, you don't want to miss the ending. So here's how it started. My husband Ryan was my entire world. We met in college, and unlike anyone else I had dated, he was steady, kind, and endlessly supportive. We built a life together from the ground up. When we married, I thought my family would finally see that I was happy, that I chose the right man. But instead, they barely showed up to the wedding, almost as if they were embarrassed. Fast forward 5 years, Ryan got sick. At first, we thought it was something small, a flu, maybe exhaustion from work. But the truth was crueler. It was cancer. The kind that steals away a healthy man piece by piece until you're left clinging to his hand, begging for just one more day. During those months, I expected my parents and my best friend Rachel to be there. But every time I called, they had an excuse. Work's too crazy. I'll come next weekend. You'll be fine, Emily. You're strong. Those were the words they repeated while I carried the weight of everything alone. When Ryan passed, my world shattered. I was numb, broken, but I still clung to the idea that family would show up for the funeral, that my best friend would at least hold my hand when I said goodbye. But on the morning of the funeral, I looked around the room, and they weren't there. Not my mom, not my dad, not my sister, not even Rachel. The pews were filled with Ryan's coworkers, neighbors, and a few friends from our side of town. Strangers, almost. But my own blood? The people I had loved and supported through everything? They were missing. I stood there by his casket, my throat tight, my chest on fire, and something inside me cracked. As I lowered my head, pretending to pray, I wasn't thinking of Ryan anymore. I was thinking of them. My so-called family, my so-called best friend, and in that moment, something dark and powerful grew inside me. I whispered to myself, they will regret this. So after Ryan's funeral, I walked out of that church like a ghost. Everyone hugged me, gave me flowers, told me to stay strong, but not one hug came from the people I actually wanted. I got into my car, shut the door, and for the first time in weeks, I let out this ugly, guttural scream. It wasn't just grief. It was rage. The silence from my family spoke louder than anything. Days went by, then weeks, and not a single call came. Not a single knock on my door. Not even a card slipped under the mat. I was alone in my house filled with memories of Ryan, while my parents lived their lives. Rachel? She was busy posting Instagram stories of brunches and trips. I watched her laugh with new friends while I drowned in my sorrow. But here's the thing. I've always been the quiet one in my family. The one they overlooked. The one who never fought back. They thought ignoring me, ignoring Ryan's death, wouldn't have consequences. And for a while I let them believe that. I went silent. Then one night, as I scrolled through Rachel's feed, I saw something that made my blood boil. She had captioned a photo with, "Surround yourself with people who matter. Life's too short for drama." This was posted the same day as Ryan's funeral. My best friend, my maid of honor, was at a rooftop party while I was burying my husband. That's when the switch flipped. I started planning. I knew I couldn't just cut them off, that would be too easy. They needed to feel the pain they made me feel. They needed to understand what abandonment tastes like. So I crafted a plan, slow and deliberate. Step 1 was distance. I stopped visiting my parents, stopped answering their rare texts. I left Rachel's group chats. And when they finally started to notice and asked, "Why are you being so distant?" I gave vague replies like, "Just busy with life." I wanted them to think everything was normal. Step 2 was control. I worked harder at my job, got promoted, and slowly built a little savings cushion. I knew if I wanted revenge, I needed power. Financially, socially, and emotionally. And step 3 was the part I couldn't wait for. The part where I would take back everything they thought I couldn't live without. Family bonds, trust, and loyalty, and rip it away just like they did to me. I looked at Ryan's picture one night, kissed the frame, and whispered, "This isn't just for me. This is for us." Months later, my silence started to itch at them. My mom would call saying, "Emily, you've been distant, we're worried." My dad left voicemails about Sunday dinners. And Rachel? She texted me one night drunk saying, "I miss you, why are you mad?" I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I started dropping small pieces of my new life online. Pictures of me smiling at work events, traveling, even meeting new people. It wasn't to show off, it was bait. And just like I thought, they bit. Suddenly, they wanted to be a part of my life again. Suddenly, they cared. But I remembered standing alone at Ryan's funeral, begging for one familiar face to show up. And I hardened. My chance came when my cousin announced her wedding. My parents begged me to attend, and Rachel texted me nonstop, saying, "It won't be the same without you." So I agreed. But not to reconcile, to reveal. On the wedding day, I walked in stunning, confident, with my head held high. I greeted everyone politely but kept my distance from my parents and Rachel. The whisper started almost immediately. People asked them, why wasn't Emily at family dinners anymore? Why wasn't she around when Ryan died? And I stood back, sipping my wine, watching them squirm. Finally, during the toast, the mic was offered to me. And I took it. My hands shook, but my voice didn't. I said, a few months ago, my husband died. And on the hardest day of my life, not one person in this room who claims to love me was there. Not my parents, not my best friend, no one. I buried the love of my life surrounded by strangers while my family and closest friend chose convenience over compassion. The room went silent. My mother gasped. Rachel turned pale. And I finished with, so forgive me if I don't play the role of the loyal daughter or best friend anymore. Because you abandoned me first. And I won't ever forget that. I put the mic down and walked out. That was the last time I spoke to them. Since then, I've built a new circle of people who show up. Real friends, real love. And every time I look at Ryan's photo, I know he'd be proud. Because revenge isn't always about screaming or fighting. It's about choosing who gets access to your heart. And my family, Rachel, they lost that forever. If you've ever felt betrayed like this, hit that subscribe button and share your story in the comments. You never know who needs to hear it.